The sun was already shining through the long glass windows when Sarah stood in front of her mirror. She smiled as she looked at herself, brushing her soft, shiny hair. Her skin was smooth like butter, and her eyes sparkled like diamonds. Everything about her looked perfect, because everything in her life felt perfect. Sarah was 24 years old. She lived in a big white mansion in the heart of Lagos with her family. Her father, Mr. Johnson, was one of the richest men in the city. He owned oil companies, hotels, and shopping malls. Her mother was always dressed like a queen, and her 3 older brothers treated her like a princess. Being the only girl in the house, she never had to lift a finger. Her room looked like something from a movie: pink curtains, golden lights, and a wardrobe filled with designer clothes and shoes. She had bags from Paris, jewelry from Italy, and her makeup kits were always the latest brand. Sometimes, she even flew to London just to get her hair done. Sarah didn't go to just any school, she attended one of the top private schools in Lagos. Her friends were all children of governors, celebrities, and powerful business people. Every holiday, she traveled with her family on a private jet to different countries. She had taken pictures in Dubai, danced at concerts in New York, and shopped in the streets of Milan. Life was sweet for Sarah because her father made sure she had everything she needed. If she wanted something, she got it: fast cars, expensive clothes, gold necklaces, or surprise trips abroad. Her family was one of the richest in the city of Lagos, and everyone knew the Johnsons. They were powerful, respected, and admired. But more than anything, her father loved her. He was always attached to her, more than to any of her brothers. They shared a special bond. He called her "my jewel," and she called him "Daddy Dearest." One evening, after the whole family had eaten dinner together in their grand dining room with long glass windows and sparkling chandeliers, something strange happened. Just as everyone was standing up to leave the table, her father looked at her and said quietly, "Sarah, please come to my study." She paused for a moment. It wasn't the first time he had asked her to join him in the study. Sometimes he just wanted to talk, sometimes he gave her gifts. But this time felt different. His voice didn't sound warm and cheerful. It sounded tired. Sarah walked slowly through the quiet hallway until she got to the dark wooden door of the study. She knocked gently. "Come in," her father said. She opened the door and stepped inside. The room was quiet, filled with books, old photographs, and the smell of her father's favorite cologne. But what caught her attention wasn't the room, it was the look on his face. He was sitting behind his big desk, both hands folded tightly. His eyes looked tired, and his forehead was full of deep lines. He looked worried, sad, and anxious. Sarah froze for a second. "Daddy, what's wrong?" she asked, stepping closer. He looked at her slowly and sighed. "We need to talk," he said, his voice heavy. And just like that, Sarah's heart began to beat faster. Something was definitely wrong. Though his words came out faint and weak, Mr. Johnson forced himself to speak. He took a deep breath and looked directly at Sarah. "I need you to be strong," he said, his voice low. "There's something I've kept hidden all these years." Sarah stood still, her heart pounding in her chest. "I belong to a secret group," he said. "A powerful society that gives its members fame, riches, protection, everything you've ever seen in our lives. But nothing in this life comes free. Every fortune you see was paid for, with something." Sarah's eyes widened. "What are you saying?" Mr. Johnson looked down at his hands, ashamed. "There were sacrifices. Lives were exchanged. Innocent ones. Every few years, members must give up something very precious to them. And now, it's my turn again." Sarah felt her knees grow weak. "They've asked for something terrible," he whispered. "Something no human being should ever agree to. They want me to give you up, not your life, but your purity, your soul." Sarah froze. What? She gasped. They want me to break you, he said, his voice filled with shame and terror. To meet with you each night and make love to you, in a way no father ever should. Sarah stepped back, her whole body shaking. She couldn't speak. She couldn't breathe. No, she whispered. Tears ran down her cheeks as her father collapsed into his chair, covering his face. I can't do it, Sarah. I won't. But they are watching us. And if I refuse? He didn't finish the sentence. Sarah looked at him, broken, confused, and terrified. Everything in her perfect life had just shattered. Sarah's heart was pounding fast. Louder. Harder. It felt like it would jump out of her chest. She couldn't believe what she had just heard. Her father, her hero, her protector, her guide, was saying something too dark for her mind to accept. She took a small step back, her eyes fixed on his face. I don't understand, she whispered, her voice shaking. You want me to agree to something like this? Why would you even say that? Mr. Johnson looked up at her with eyes filled with pain and tears. Sarah, if we don't do what they say, we will lose everything. The cars, the houses, the private jets, the business deals, the power, everything I've built will vanish. Sarah stared at him, her throat tight. So, you're willing to give me up? Your own daughter? His mouth trembled, and he looked away. He didn't say yes. But he didn't say no either. Sarah felt the ground under her shift. It was like the walls were closing in. She couldn't breathe. Her chest was tight. Her head was spinning. All her life, she had looked at him with love, trust, pride. He was the strongest man she knew. The man who carried her on his shoulders as a child. The one who kissed her forehead every night. The one who promised to protect her from all harm. But now, he has become a danger. Sarah's eyes burned with hot tears, but she refused to let them fall. She turned slowly and walked toward the door. Sarah, her father called softly. But she didn't answer. She opened the door, stepped out, and closed it behind her. The hallway felt cold and empty. She walked through the mansion like a ghost, her thoughts screaming louder than thunder. She didn't know where to go or who to talk to. All she knew was that everything she believed in had just broken into pieces. And deep down, a fear began to grow. A fear that this was only the beginning. Each day, she watched the fear grow in her father's eyes. It was always there, even when he tried to smile. And every time she saw it, her heart became heavier. She couldn't stop thinking about it. What if they lost everything? The big house, the fancy cars, the respect, the life they had always known. She was scared too. Deep inside, the fear of losing it all kept her awake at night. The thought of starting over, of being ordinary, felt like a nightmare. One evening, after thinking long and hard, she made up her mind. She decided to give herself to whatever it was her father was running from. She didn't want to see him lose everything he had worked so hard to build. And she didn't want to lose her perfect life either. That night, she went to see her father in the study. Her heart was heavy, and her mind was full of doubts. She knew deep down that this choice didn't come from pure intentions, it came from fear. Fear of losing everything. Fear of watching her perfect life fall apart. But she also knew she had no other option. Her father didn't speak at first. He simply opened the door and let her in. The room was quiet, dark, and filled with strange symbols. Candles flickered in the corners, casting long shadows on the walls. He stood beside her and nodded. Once we begin, he said softly, you must not stop. You must stay strong. She nodded, even though her legs were shaking. From that night on, she returned to the study again and again. The nights grew longer. The rituals became deeper. At first, she felt fear. Then confusion. But slowly, something else crept in, a strange connection. A quiet bond that formed between father and daughter. They didn't speak much, but their silence was loud. They were both trapped in the same darkness. Bound by secrets. Bound by sacrifice. What began as a choice soon became routine. It started to feel normal, too normal. To the outside world, everything looked normal. People saw a caring father and his beloved daughter. They saw love, respect, and a beautiful bond. No one asked questions. No one suspected anything. They had no reason to. Behind the gates of their mansion, behind the expensive clothes and smiling pictures, something much deeper and darker was happening. But it was quiet. Hidden. Wrapped in silence and shadows. She still smiled when she went out. Still posted perfect photos online. Still laughed with friends. But her heart was heavy. Her soul was tired. Each night in the study left a mark on her spirit, even though no one could see it. Months passed. Then one day, she found out she was pregnant. She didn't cry. She didn't panic. She just stared at the test in her hand for a long time. Deep down, she already knew. It didn't surprise her. It felt like something that was meant to happen. When the news came out, people were curious, but not shocked. "Oh, our boyfriend must have gotten her pregnant," they said. And that's exactly what she told them. No one asked too many questions. They just accepted it. After all, she was beautiful, rich, and young. It wasn't unusual. Her family smiled in public. Her brothers teased her gently. Her father remained calm, quiet, and present. 9 months later, she gave birth to a baby boy. He was strong, healthy, and beautiful. Everyone celebrated. But deep inside her, she felt something else. A cold wind. A whisper in her ears. Something wasn't right. She had given life to something pure, but in a way that still haunted her. And though she cradled her baby in her arms, part of her was still lost in the shadows of the study. Years passed. She raised her child with quiet strength, but the shadows of her past never truly left her. Every smile she wore felt a little bit forced. Every laugh was followed by silence. The weight of secrets grew heavier in her heart. She was tired. Tired of hiding. Tired of pretending. Tired of living a life built on fear, sacrifice, and lies. One evening, she sat alone, staring out of her window. The city light sparkled in the distance, but all she could feel was emptiness. That was when she knew it was time. Time to break free. Time to start over. Time to take back her life. She walked into her father's study, the same room where everything had begun. Her voice was calm but firm. "Daddy," she said, "I can't do this anymore. I'm done. I want to leave. I need to start a new life, far away from this house, far away from everything." Her father looked up at her. His eyes, once filled with power, now showed panic. "You know what will happen," he warned. "If you walk away, we could lose it all. Everything we've built. Everything I've protected." She nodded slowly. "I know. But I'm willing to lose it all to find myself again. I can't keep pretending. I just can't." For a long moment, he said nothing. Just stared at her, his only daughter, his secret, his sacrifice. Then, with a heavy sigh, he leaned back in his chair and gave a slow nod. "Go," he whispered. "If this is what you want, then go." And so she left. Not just the house, but the life she once knew. She packed her things, took her child, and disappeared into a new city, where no one knew her name, and where the shadows hadn't yet reached. Just a few months after she left, everything began to fall apart. Her father's business, once powerful and untouchable, started to crumble. At first, it was small things, missed calls, failed meetings, delayed payments. But soon, it became something much bigger. Big clients stopped calling. Investors pulled out. Deals that were once easy started to fail. And before long, the empire he had built over so many years began to crash, fast and hard. One by one, his companies went into debt. His name, once spoken with respect, became a whisper filled with pity. His friends disappeared. His power vanished. The fame, the wealth, the attention, it all faded like smoke in the wind. He tried to fight it. He begged the society for help, but there was no mercy. The price had not been paid in full. The bond had been broken. And now, the cost was everything. Meanwhile, in her quiet new home in a different city, she found something she never had before: peace. For the first time in her life, she slept without fear. She laughed freely. She played with her child under the sun without a single secret in her heart. She wore simple clothes, lived a simple life, but her soul felt light. She was free. And though she sometimes thought of the past, she never looked back with regret. She had escaped something dark. She had chosen life over lies. And for her, that was enough. But for her father, the fall was too great. He sat alone in his empty mansion, surrounded by silence, haunted by memories, and the bitter truth that everything he once had was now gone. All because she chose freedom. Thank you for watching my video today, and I hope you learned some value lesson that every evil thing has their own expiry date, and also I hope you learn never to be in support of those who do evil no matter how much we love them. I hope to see you in my next video, and please subscribe if you have not done so before now.